What is up, everyone? It's that time again. You're listening to It's Been a Week. I'm your host, Ben McDonald, and this is your weekly dose of whatever the hell just happened. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to It's Been a Week. Welcome to our Mother's Day episode. You know I am all about celebrating mothers and women and everyone on this podcast. So this week, I have a special friend that, funny enough, we met years ago, drunk, at a swim-up bar in Mexico. And it was the start of a beautiful friendship. So please welcome Miss Jen.
Hi,
How
Ben.
are
Thanks
you?
for having me.
Yes. How's your week been? How's your Mother's Day?
It was great. Great. Spent it with the kids, hanging out, drinking, and just enjoying my grandson. And yeah, it was a great day.
I love that. Yeah, a few cocktails. I mean, it is kind of our bonding moment of our friendship.
Yes, totally.
So for the Mother's Day episode, last year I had my friends on here. I had my friend Victoria who lost her baby, and I had my other friend Sherry who adopted her child with who's disabled, and all different stories. So I think moms come in all different forms.
Yes.
And I know that you have an interesting story that I don't even know the whole story, so I'm excited to dive into it. But let's just get started with, how many kids do you have? I mean, obviously you're a mom. Let's give us a little breakdown of your family dynamic.
Sure. So I have 5 kids total. I have 2 stepchildren, 2 stepdaughters, and I have 2 biological daughters and 1 biological son. And my son actually, I put up for adoption when I was 17.
Wow. Okay.
So,
So, but you're connected with him.
yes. So, it's kind of a crazy story. So he's 30. He'll be turning 38 this year. He's 37. He lives in California, close to us, like 4 or 5 hours away. I had an open adoption with him, which kind of 37 years ago was the beginning of open adoptions. A lot of people don't know what that means. That means that I was basically part of his life, his entire life, growing up. So I got to see him grow up. Not physically, but in pictures, because back then we would write letters and there was no email, phone calls, stuff like that. So that's how that started. That's how that relationship grew. And now, he's a part of my life constantly.
And was that the open adoption? Was that your choice?
It was. So, yeah. So when I was 16, I was forced to make the decision, do I want to have an abortion or do I want to have this child? And I obviously chose to have the child. And that was when someone presented to me the idea of open adoption, explain what that was. Because, back in the day, they had the sealed adoption records. People didn't find out till they're 30 years old that they were ever adopted, crazy stuff like that. And that, to me, was always something I obviously didn't want to do. So we went down the road of open adoption, and I explored those. I actually interviewed couples to adopt my child. So that was kind of a crazy process at 16 years old, talking to these adults wanting your child.
And this all happens while you're pregnant, I'm assuming?
Yeah. So I was pregnant, and I had so many letters and pictures and, people would mail to me. And then I narrowed it down to a couple candidates. And then obviously my mother was very involved with all this. She, walked me through the process and helped me, obviously. And yeah, I interviewed these people, and it was in 1988. It still is, I think, to this day. I'm a white person with a white baby, and I'd never done drugs. That was a hot commodity back then. People were offering money. I mean, it's a black market. It's crazy. We didn't go down that route. We hired an attorney. We had, a whole private adoption set up. So it was kind of a crazy road.
I can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure looking back now, you're thankful you did the open adoption, obviously, because you guys are in each other's lives, but there has to be a part of you that, it almost makes that harder to be in because then it's, I feel like for me, the only thing I can relate it to is, like, for instance, when I sell horses, because that's the closest thing I have to a child.
Yeah.
I don't want to be there when they're sold. I don't want to watch them get on the trailer. I don't even really want to hear how they're doing. Like, I wish that, because it sucks. So I'm always like, it's almost better out of sight, out of mind. I could not imagine like a child, like there had to be part of it where in the moment it would have been easier to be like out of sight, out of mind, where, I mean, what was that like to be like, watching someone else raise your kid, but you don't really get a say in, like, how they're raised.
Right. Yeah, I'm not gonna, lie. It was very hard, very bittersweet. So, I would get letters throughout the year with pictures and how he's doing and stuff like that. It was hard, but I think it was good also to see that he was raised so well.
Mm.
I got to pick his parents. People don't get to pick your parents. You're stuck with what you got. So it was kind of a nice thing to see. Um, just to see him raised the way that I would have liked. I mean, this is an interview process. I talked to them about their beliefs and what they like, and obviously they could have lied to me, but it all turned out good. He was raised very well. I'm still close to his parents. I mean, they're great people. I couldn't have picked a better couple. But
So
he one thing, back to the, watching him grow up and so forth, his mom would actually send me flowers every year on his birthday.
yeah, see, I mean, I feel like that's a bit, like you said, bittersweet.
It still triggers me.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, so at what point did they always tell him, like, you have another mom, or
Yeah.
are you like the aunt, or are you like, how when he was growing up and he was young, how does he, because obviously when you're a child, you can't always conceptualize everything. What were
Yeah.
you to him?
No, he knew that I was his biological mom. So he was raised that way, which I think is good because, there's nothing worse than getting surprises later in life on who you really are. So he knew his whole life that he was adopted and so forth. And he had two other siblings that were biological to his parents. So he was the only adopted child. But yeah, he knew growing up.
Which I think, so at what point then were you in it, like, did you go to his birthday parties when he was little, or like
No, so I didn't actually meet him again until he was 25 years old. So my whole thing, and his parents were always like, if you want to see him, but I think that would have been really hard. So I never did that.
yeah,
But they always had that door open. But my stance was when he's ready, I'll be ready. So he was 25. He reached out to me and said, I'm ready. It still chokes me up.
yeah,
And so anyway, me and my husband went down and met him and spent time with him, his parents. As soon as we showed up to the house, his parents came to the door and they're like, "Hey, do you want a beer?" To my husband because he like, this is gonna be a long day, and it was. But it was amazing.
yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, I have chills right now actually just thinking about it, but I can't imagine both of you. I mean, it's got to be an overwhelming emotion for both you and him.
Yeah,
And I would assume he had feelings of excitement, feelings of, you know, why. I'm sure he
right.
wanted answers. And, as any kid goes through, whether you're adopted or not, we all face like rejection or,
Yeah,
like, I mean, I joke all the time, which I'm serious about. Like, I got daddy issues, hence I'm
right.
with AJ. Um, you know what I mean? Like, we all have different things. So, like,
Yeah.
was he like welcoming, did he welcome you with open arms, or was he kind of
Oh,
like, we need to talk
absolutely.
this out, or what was his feeling towards it?
No, he welcomed me with open arms, and we had been talking for many years before that. That's when Facebook kind of started up. So I was friends with him on Facebook, so I got to see his life kind of through that, or emails, stuff like that. He had just gotten married. I got to see that, but everything was from a distance, obviously. And I was okay with that. I was just, when he's ready, I'll be ready. I don't know that I ever was ready, but I was willing to wait just because it needed to be in his timing.
Yeah,
But I think he always knew why he was put up for adoption. I mean, I was 16 years old. I mean, that was, there's no way I could have given him the life that he has today.
right, right. And I think that that's, you know selfless,
Yeah.
because you know what I mean, because there's a lot of people out there that you see get 16 and pregnant, or they're young and pregnant, and they don't have the financial means, or they're just, or they're on drugs, which you weren't. But there's so many different scenarios where people, and then they put these kids through it, and there's times in life you see these kids and you look and you're like, they don't even stand a chance.
Yeah. And,
You know what
and
I
that's
mean?
kind of how I felt. I just wanted him to have the best life, and I knew I couldn't do that for him. At 16 years old, there's no way I could have done that. So he had a really good life. He still
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
And I think it's a different way of looking at it, instead of being like, oh, this, irresponsible 16-year-old got 16 and pregnant. It's like, no, you made a mistake, and you
Yeah.
did the absolute best thing you could, and the most, probably the hardest thing, but the most selfless thing, because it would have been
Right.
probably easier emotionally to just keep the
Oh,
baby, live with your
absolutely.
parents, or try to, find a way to whatever, make it work. But
Yeah.
like you said, you set your kid up for success.
Right. 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 And my parents were there to support me whatever direction I wanted to go. They're the ones who gave me the option for adoption and kind of presented that to me. Um, I mean, honestly, I was leaning towards abortion because I just like, what am I going to do? But no one, I never even thought about adoption. So, and that's something that I think isn't discussed anymore. Everyone is either pro life, pro choice, and I am very pro choice. You do what you got to do. I don't really care. That's your life. But no one knows this side of it where there are other options that you can do, and it's not for everybody. I mean, you just got to make the decision based on yourself and your child and so many different things. So I just wish that it was talked about more, and that's kind of something that I try and do. I've worked with different groups, foster care, adoption centers, and so forth, that trying just to get that out there and to be some kind of support system for someone, whether there's not a lot of support system for my side, meaning the person putting the child up for adoption. They have a lot of support systems for the parents adopting, like how to get through this. It's not your biological child, or if you have any issues, but no one's ever on this side of it talking to women like, there is light at the end of the tunnel. It will all work out. So that's kind of what I try and do.
Yeah, I feel like there's almost, I don't want to say shame, but there's almost kind of like okay, we'll take care of them, like bye, you're done. Like it is
Yeah.
kind of like you don't talk about the mom who had to, give up a child because stereotypically we all think, oh, they're on drugs, oh, they were just sleeping
Right.
around, oh, they were doing like there's not as much sympathy, I don't think, as there
Right.
is for like, oh, this child is going to be adopted, or yeah, these parents are having to, do which like so it's I'm glad you're like talking about that because it really is. I've never even heard it be talked about.
Right. No, nobody
And
talks about it. Everything's about abortion
yeah, and I think that obviously abortion is a very hot topic and it has been for
forever.
since abortion was a thing, it's been a hot
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah.
Personally, I am all about pro-choice, like, and we don't have to get into the political side of it, but I do
Yeah.
think there's people that get all extreme where they think, "Oh, you're killing babies," or and I'm like,
Right.
"Okay, that's not the case." I'm not saying, there's a difference, I think. I'll never forget, actually, there was a spin teacher who I used to go to the spin studio, and he unfollowed me on Instagram, and I was like, what was that about?" And he goes, "I can't support someone who wants to kill babies."
Oh
And I
boy.
said, because
Yeah.
all I had posted was something about, like, women's rights or something.
Right.
And I'm like, "Listen, we have no idea the scenarios that people go through. We have no idea if, the mom could die during pregnancy. We have no idea if
Right.
they were raped. We have no idea. No one knows what other people are going through. So
Right.
I just think let everyone,
Make their own choice.
make
Yes.
their own choice. And of course, are there going to be bad eggs that just go get pregnant every other month and then of course, there's always going to be
Yeah.
one person, a bad person. But like in
Yeah.
general, I think let people control their body. Anyways, I do think that for the adoption thing, we'd really because and even the word because I was legally adopted by my stepdad,
Okay.
which is a whole different. I mean that so I always I've always been with my mom, but
Yeah.
then she remarried and he legally adopted me. But I remember even going through that as a kid, like that adoption period. Like I had to go to court. You had to like go in front of a judge. There was like there's a lot to it. So
Yeah.
I can't imagine as a 16-year-old
Yeah.
in the 80s
Right.
trying to navigate all that, you know what I mean? Because like, obviously, life was so different back then too. We didn't have Instagram and social media, and
Right.
the world was just different.
My mom was obviously my rock during that. She got me through all this, and my stepdad who raised me. Um, She was amazing. It's not an easy process, I'm not gonna lie. And I don't know what it is today. Obviously, this was so long ago. But there was a point where you had 1 year to like rescind your decision, and I could have taken him back. I had to, go into a court in California after 1 year and sign it. Um, that was obviously very difficult. But it was a long process. So I what's crazy is because back then adoption was still kind of I'm not adoption pregnancy was still kind of frowned on. So here I'm 16 years old, pregnant in high school. My you know I m- My mom is worried about my social being of being at school pregnant. So I think she did what everyone did back in that day is she sent me away to live with my dad who lived in California. I did school years in Colorado, summers in California. She sent me to live with my dad and my stepmom. Um, and when I showed up there, because she was kind of not trying to hide me from it, but just, I think she was trying to just save face on like, maybe you don't want people to know this. My best friends knew, obviously. I go out to Colorado or California for, I think I was out there for a total of 3 months. They put me in the school system there, not a big deal. And then my stepmom, who is crazy, she decided that I grew up very religious in both households. She felt like this was God's time to give her a child. She was going to take this child. She had never biologically had children. It was just me and my brother. And she thought that this was going to be her child. God brought me into her life and got me pregnant so she could have this baby. I didn't know any of this until later, which was just crazy. So when she found out that I was interviewing people for an adoption, because I had another family that I'm very close to this day, it was their best friends who ended up adopting my son. He was our youth pastor at our church. I find all this out. I still, 16, I don't even know how I was wrapping my head around all this. Like, what do you mean? Like, I already found someone for my child. Like, why does she want my child? What's going on? To the point she got upset that I had found a family to adopt him, and they decided to kidnap me, put me in this remote cabin about an hour from where my dad lives in California. At this point, my mom's in Colorado. And I would check in with her, how things going. All we had was back then was landlines. We had nothing else. I went up to this random house. It was some churchgoer's like cabin. I don't even know where I was. And my mom has no idea where I'm at. I'm up there and I'm up there for like 2 weeks. I literally had nothing to do. Brought all my belongings up there. And it was to the point where my stepmom was like, I can't handle her. She's out of control. And I was a very good kid. I was an honor roll student. I like do drugs. I didn't drink, none of that stuff. So I don't know how I was out of control, but that's what she claimed. I'm up there for about 2 weeks and I called my mom. I see a phone there. I'm like, I'm going to call my mom. And I called her because back then you remembered people's phone numbers.
Hmm.
And she's like, where are you? And I was like, I don't know. I'm at someone's house. And she's like, and I don't know, obviously, what she's gone through in 2 weeks trying to find her daughter. She had a PI trying to look for me, everything. And my dad wouldn't tell her. The thought was they thought I was going to have the baby and then my stepmom was going to take the baby because I was in hiding. Um, my mom
What?
tells me, what's that?
I said, what? This is crazy.
So, I mean, that's the theory. We don't really know, obviously. So I'm on the phone with my mom and she's being very casual and like not a big deal. And she says, is there any mail sitting around the house there? And I'm like, yeah, I see some letters. She's like, can you just read off the address that's on that mail? And I was like, yeah. And I give her the address. She's like, okay, just sit tight for a little bit. Like, thanks for calling, love you, whatever. Within probably 15 minutes, like the entire, I call it SWAT team, but 10 cops surround the house with our friend who was my youth pastor because they didn't know where I was either. And like, they're all trying, it was insane. I was like, what is going on? Because I didn't even know really what was happening at this point. So they're basically there to get me because I was kidnapped. So I come out and my youth pastor was there and he's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, what's going on? He's like, well, and then he'd tell me the whole story. I was like, oh my God. So then they ended up taking me and I went with my youth pastor and he connected me with my mom. And then it was just like a whole thing. So yeah, that was the beginning of all of this insanity. But my mom just kind of protected me through all that and through the whole like process. So then she took me back home. And it was during the summer of in between my junior and senior year in high school. She took me home. I finished my pregnancy with my mom. And literally a week before my senior year, they're like, okay, we're going to induce you so you can go back to school in a week. I'm like, okay. Like, I had no idea what was happening. So
Oh
that's
my
kind of how that
gosh.
all. Yeah, I know.
Well,
I
okay.
still can't believe a week later. I'm like, okay, I'm going back to school. Like nothing happened.
Well, first we have to go back to this kidnapping. This
Yeah,
is, first of all, it sounds like an episode out of The Handmaid's Tale. Like, this is
totally. Totally.
crazy.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so and also good on your mom to be like, is
Yeah.
there any mail, like staying calm, cool, and collected and being like, is there any mail? Like,
Yeah.
that was so smart. I wouldn't have even thought of that. Um, so the stepmom, like, you were up in this cabin for like 2 weeks by yourself, or was the stepmom there?
No, there was, like, another couple from their church that they knew that I didn't know. It was just a single couple, no kids or anything, and they basically had volunteered, and I think it was kinda thing like, "Oh, we're taking in, unwed mothers," or something, I don't even know, and so I stayed in a like, in a bedroom in their house, and my parents, like, brought like, I had all my stuff with me, like, I basically moved in there, and I was like I mean, I really didn't know. They had chores for me to do every day.
As you're
Yeah,
pregnant doing
it was very
chores?
bizarre.
Did so your mom is, like, calling your dad being like, "Let me talk to Jen," and he literally was like, "We're not telling you where she's at."
Yeah, yeah, he wouldn't answer the phone calls or he was just not telling her whatsoever, yeah.
Your poor mother. I mean, that's gotta be traumatizing, like, thinking like, that's crazy. So this
Yeah,
crazy stepmom who weirdly thinks that God is delivering her a child through you, like, again, Handmaid's Tale.
yeah.
Um, where is she now?
She actually lives about 10 miles from me. My biological dad passed away, about a year and a half ago. They were still together, but I've been estranged for him for probably 15 years before he passed away. I haven't talked to her since, in many, many years.
For good reason.
They were part of my life for quite a while. When I got married as an adult and had my two biological children. But I always kind of kept her at arm's distance because, arm's length because she's crazy. I mean, she's
Crazy.
crazy. And my mom used to tell me, she's all there's so back in the day, they went to adopt children and you had to pass like a psychological exam and she couldn't pass that basically. And my
Shocking.
mom's like, well, there's a reason. I'm like, clearly.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So, holy shit. That I feel like that could be its own Netflix special or like a
Yeah.
Lifetime movie
Yeah. After
because
school
that's
special.
yeah. So then, okay, so your mom and I mean, I'm just picturing you in this house and like the whole SWAT team and all these cops coming, and you're like, "What's going on?" So then you go back to Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go home and they're like, "We're gonna induce you," and then you're just gonna go back to school?
Yeah.
But
And,
that's kind of
I actually took Lamaze class with my mom. And we were like, it was me and my mom with all these couples. I didn't even really know what to expect. Like, it's even emotionally, like, I didn't understand how this whole thing, at 16, you're so emotionally immature. I had no idea until obviously everything came to a head, how this would affect me. But she protected me in every way she could. And, even things later after I put him up for adoption, things came up that I didn't even find out until like 10 years ago that she just kept all that from me because I think she didn't want me to worry. She's like, you be a
yeah,
kid. I'm going to take care of all the hard stuff, which was great. But yeah, it's insane. I didn't realize how much she did
yeah.
for
She
me.
sounds like a superstar trying to,
Yeah.
you know, protect you as much as she can.
Yeah.
So then your son's like the father, were you guys together? Was it just like a one night stand thing? Like, did he want to be involved
Um,
in all this?
no, so he was my boyfriend on and off for like a year and a half or something. We were not together when we went through this. He didn't really at the time have a say. I'm sure it's a little different now. He didn't really have a say. I don't think he really cared because again, I think we were just so young and immature. So he was never really involved and we weren't really together. And my parents were really, my mom and my stepdad were really fearful that I was going to run off and get married. And that was like the furthest thing from my mind. And I didn't
Mm,
find that out till later that that's what they thought. That was another reason why they sent me to California. Um, I'm like, are you kidding me? 16 years old? Like, I don't even know how to keep a baby, let alone a husband. Like, that was not even in the cards. But
right.
that was their fear. So, no, I didn't really have a relationship with him after that. And unfortunately, he passed away about 25 years ago. So I think he was 25 when he passed away.
Oh wow.
So he never got to meet his son. So that kind of, that was horrible. But yeah, I never kept in contact with him really at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, 16, you're what, sophomore in high school?
I was a junior.
Junior. Yes. I mean, like, yeah, we're not in any way ready to
No,
like take on the world or make
no.
even responsible decisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, okay, so there's a little bit of the backstory of how we get to this point, which is crazy. So then you you have your son, and then is it like in the hospital and they're like they take him right away? Or do
Yeah,
you
so I'm in the hospital, because they induced me, the parents were able to fly out to because they were from California too. They flew out to Colorado, they were there for the birth, they were not in the room, they're outside the room. My mom was in the room with me, and it's so crazy, and I'm sure it's even worse today, but everybody was like, "What are you doing with your baby?" Like, trying to buy him. It was insane. And I remember, we already had everything squared away. Obviously, we had attorneys and everything. My mom was handling all that, but we were in the delivery room, and after I given birth, they, take the baby and they clean him up, whatever. The nurse was like, "Wait, so you're not keeping your baby?" I'm like, "No, I'm putting up for adoption." She's like, "Oh, I have someone. Like, we have money. Like, we can do this." And I was like, "No, we already have." My mom's like, "Be quiet. We already have someone." It was just like in the delivery room, they're sitting there trying to negotiate. It's insane.
This feels a little inappropriate.
Thank you. I'm like,
Like,
you're all drugged up. And I was like, what is happening? But, again, thanks for my mom for being there to get me through that. But so they were there. And then you can't actually, I hate to say this, but you can't hand him over like property basically in a hospital. You had to like leave. So we had to go outside the hospital, and they took him from there, and then they flew back to California with him the next day. It was the next day that I believe it was one day. So he was very healthy, thankfully. So he didn't have to stay in the hospital or anything. So then they just took him the next day. And then, I
but
had
do
an
you spend
emotional,
that first day with them, like holding them, or do you
a
have to
little
try to
bit.
disconnect a little bit?
I did. I tried to disconnect.
Yeah, I think you have to because it's
Yeah,
yeah,
it was, yeah, you don't really know how hard it's gonna be until you do it, obviously, and mentally, you're trying to prepare yourself for this, yeah, and obviously, the further I got along in my pregnancy, the harder I knew it was gonna be.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, it's still I mean, rightfully
Yes.
so, it's still affecting you. Um, but then I think, like you said, you had that year period where you could, take them back because I know some gay couples that have adopted kids and they've gotten like 6 months in, and then the parents come back and they want the kids back.
Yeah.
And I think that happened to them a couple times, and it was like
Yeah.
their 3rd one, and they're like, "We can't keep going through this because it's like,
It's
now
heartbreaking.
now it's torture for everyone. It's
Right, right.
heartbreaking for everyone." So, I remember when the last one when it, like, they got it was after a year and they signed, and it was like it was like this big sigh of relief, but I feel like for the mom, it's like it draws it out even more, you know what I mean? Like, it's not
Yeah.
just cut and dry where it's like, "Boom, done, okay, we're out." It's like, you have a whole year to sit and ponder, "Well, did I make the right choice?" Or, "Oh, should I
Right.
take it back?" Or, "Oh," and then even after a year when you're like, "Okay, no, I made the right choice." Oh, now you gotta go down and sign paperwork to make it it's like it almost feels dramatic where it's like,
Agree.
it's gotta
But,
it
I mean, I do get it where you have to, at the time, you're like, "Am I making the right decision?" You think you are, but then, yeah, you go home and you're thinking, "Oh my god, did I make the right decision?" I mean, I understand both sides, but, yeah, it definitely drags it out and makes it harder, and there was not an option to go, and "Can I just do that now? Like, can I just get it over with?" Because I knew that it would be harder in a year, and they're like, "No, you have to wait the year."
right. Which I get yeah, like, it's almost more torture for you because it's like it's just draws this out more.
Yeah. And
So
then, another crazy story. So during that 1 year, um, so when, there was no 23andMe and DNA and all that kind of stuff, we had to fill out paperwork on your medical history, out of just, to give to the family and so forth. And I don't know where, but somewhere on paperwork, because the father filled out paperwork too, somewhere, somehow, something said something about Native American. And I don't even know if this is true to this day, and I didn't even find this out till 10 years ago. Um, if you have any Native American blood in you and you put your child up for adoption, the Native American tribes can take your child because they
what?
want basically first right of refusal of the child. So somehow that all came out, and my mom had to hire an attorney. His parents had to hire an attorney. I believe is how it went. I only got part of the story like 10 years ago. I didn't even know this happened. So basically a native tribe was trying to take him from them because they thought he had Native American blood in him. So they fought that. They ended up not taking him, of course. And then fast forward to 10 years ago, and we did the 23andMe, and he has 0% Native American in him. So
S
just thinking that they could have done that some way, somehow, and he wasn't even Native American at all. So that was kind of, insane.
That's
Thankfully, we have
crazy.
and I don't know how it is today. I don't know if they can still do that, honestly.
Like, that
But
should be if there's, like, the kid has nowhere to go, he's gonna go into,
right.
foster care, and they're like, "We'll take him." Like, if it's but if they have something else already set up, ready to go, we've and they're like, "Actually, we get our first," like, then that's when it feels really like property.
Right.
Like,
That's
that's kinda
yes.
gross.
It's like they had no connection whatsoever, and all of a sudden they just, it's very bizarre. Yeah. So, thankfully
And
that
does
not
someone at the
resolved.
hospital, like, alert them? Or, like, how did they even know about this?
Well, I think it was something in the paperwork because they ask you like, what's your, background, like medical background, or like, I'm part French, I'm part German, like, you had to fill all that out, and I don't know if the father thought he had some Native American in him. Maybe someone had told him that over the. don't know. I don't know how that
Right?
all
Because
came to
people say
head.
that all the time, like, "Oh, I've got this," I mean,
Yeah.
I'll even, I'm like, "Oh, I'm Irish and I'm Norwegian, I'm the," but just because 'cause I've heard it, whatever, so
Right.
maybe he just,
It's
like,
just been passed down for generations. Yeah. So
so he, like,
I don't
checked the
really know.
box or something.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that was kind of wild. But again, my mom had protected me from that. I didn't know anything about it. And my son said something to me like 10 years ago. I was like, what are you talking about? And he told me the story. I was like, oh my God, this is insane.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Because who knows if they would have, like, done the open adoption, they might have cut you off, that could have
Right.
you could have been raised with, like you said, you interviewed this other family to make sure it was, like, same beliefs, kinda what you wanted your kid to
Right.
have, and then, like, who knows what, I mean, that's crazy,
Yeah. Yeah.
beyond. Wow. Okay, so he gets adopted, he's with the family, you have the year period, at the year, you go, you're for sure in your decision, you sign the paperwork, and then so now you're, like, 17 and a half.
Yeah, I'm like 17 and a half, I think. Yeah. Yeah,
It's
thereabouts. I was
it's
still in my senior year in high school. I flew out to California to sign the paperwork. Yeah.
And so then you're graduating high school and, starting life. So then when do you start becoming, like, sending the letters and getting all, like, are you always in constant communication with his parents?
Yeah, his mom was very religious about writing me. I would say at least once a year. As he got older, it got less frequent, but at least once a year. When he was younger, I would get pictures, every 3 to 6 months, letters how he's doing. She was very good about everything. Seeing him grow. I still have all the pictures and all the letters, but she was so diligent about it. And then when he turned 18, it was not as frequent, obviously. And then it was kind of hit and miss. At 18, I had moved out to California to go to college, and he lives here. So I don't really remember all the communication that we had back then. But then um, I still talked to his mom on the phone, and then Facebook came around, and I'd say probably 4 or 5 years we were friends on Facebook.
You and the
And he would
mom.
message me, and we talk.
Oh, you and him.
Yeah, me and him. So I
Would
got
you
to
talk
see
on the
all that.
phone?
What's that?
Would you talk on the phone, or was it more like
No, we
emails,
never
letters?
talked on the phone. Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just kind of, through email, and
Mhm.
then, Facebook came, and then I'd see that, and then how that kind of transpired into meeting him is he was getting married, and, he was obviously gonna get ready to start a family, so he wanted to basically, see this side of his life, like, "Where did I come from? Who are you?" That kinda stuff. So then that's how we ended up meeting.
Wow.
And then we've been, close ever since. So, and he has 2 children now, so I have 2 granddaughters with him, which who are amazing, and we have a great relationship now. We take vacations together. We go down and see them, and when we go down and see them, it's kind of funny how he has to introduce, "Well, this is my biological mom, and this is, my mom." And we were in a family setting with all of us, and I get along great with his parents. Like, they're amazing, to this day. So it's just like a big extended family.
Well, I'm sure now, look, they're just probably so appreciative because 'cause you've given
Yeah.
them, and I think anything in life, you can look at it from any different perspective, but, like, now looking at it, it's like everything happened for a reason. He has a great life. You're in his life. Like, yes, I'm sure there was moments that were extremely hard and that still are,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it seems like, I know you have a beautiful life. It sounds like he has a great life. It seems like everything worked out pretty.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I couldn't have put this in a better, like, life pattern. Like, it worked out. It doesn't always work out for people, but, and Um, it just did. I don't know. I mean, that's the conversation I have with people who are looking to put their child up for adoption is like there is light at the end of the tunnel. You will get through this, but it also has to be for the, right reasons and for the right person. Not everyone can do that.
Right.
Not everyone is emotionally, they just can't emotionally. And I get that because I mean, as you can see, I still it still affects me. And he's such a great part of my life, but it still deep down inside affects me. Yeah.
Right. And like, do you think you have guilt, or do you think you just have like what when you look back on it? Because like I said, we can look now and be like, he's great. He has kids. He has a great life.
Yeah.
So like when you look back, like what are the feelings that it makes you feel?
Of it is guilt.
Okay.
And just that I missed out, I think. Um, I couldn't fathom people not seeing anything like, for 18 years and then their son comes knocking on the door, their child comes knocking on the door looking for them. So I think that made it easier for me, really. One of my best friends in high school it's kind of funny. She's in the same situation. She was put up for adoption, didn't know who her parents were, but she was raised knowing she was adopted. She had the two siblings that were biological to her parents. So she was the only adopted person. Knowing her story, I think helped me. Like she helped me through some of that. And to the point that she went to find her mother when she was like 21 or 22 years old. And her mother wanted nothing to do with her because she was a secret and she had never told anybody. And then now she has a great relationship with her biological dad. So that all worked out. But like seeing that, I can't even fathom that. But again, everybody's different. Like they don't know how to handle things. And, everyone's just different. But I can't imagine not being part of that. That's why I really push for the open adoption part, because I do think had I not seen all that stuff in his life, you just always have the questions and the wonders like, what if, like maybe if I would just kept him, then, he would be better off. But I saw how good he was doing. So I think that really helped me.
Yeah. I like I said, when my stepdad adopted me and my biological dad, he didn't really come into my life. And I mean, he would kind of like pop in and out.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't until I was older that he started coming to my life. And I do, there was a long time where I was like, "Fuck you." Like,
Right.
because my stepdad, he didn't have to pay when he part of the agreement to sign over, he didn't have to pay child support anymore. He didn't have to, there was all these things, which I mean, my mom used to give him back his child support checks anyways. But
Right.
there was a part of me where I was like, like felt obviously rejected. And I'm like, well, clearly you don't want me and all this. But, now
Right.
as an adult and he's passed away, but I can look and I'm sure he from the outside looking in, he probably thought Ben has an amazing life. He's
Yeah.
traveling the world. He's doing all these fun things. He's riding horses. And I'm sure he had a moment of, what do I have to offer him?
Right, right. He's doing good. I can see that. And
Whereas
that's
he,
kind of the same thing. Yeah, I see these, I would see these pictures and be like, I never I never questioned making the right decision because I saw that. I
yeah,
never thought I should have kept him. And I always knew every year and every time I get pictures that that was the right decision.
yeah. I think you're lucky that you did connect and that you are in each other's lives, because I could say that, like, my life might have looked perfect or that it was amazing, but, like, I would have really loved to have my biological dad in my life because my
Right.
stepdad was awful to me, and, I would have wanted nothing more than to have a relationship with him, and then by the time I was going to, it was too late and, whatever, he passed away.
Yeah.
So it's there's so many layers to it all, and there's so many dynamics, and, we're all have different traumas, I think, at different levels of fucked up, but,
Yeah.
it
I always say everyone has shit. It's just different shit.
yeah, like it is, and I think it's really special that you, like I said, you'd made a very selfless and hard decision, and I think you're both lucky that you're in each other's lives, even if it,
Oh,
and I wouldn't say yes, you missed out on those first 25 years, but also like it shaped him into who he was going to be. I bet it shaped you into who you are and how you are as a mom to your other children, and then it all comes together.
yeah. Yeah. It does. It does. It all worked out.
So now you guys have, good relationship. You're part of his life. He has his kids. How is he with your other two children? Your two other,
Amazing. Yeah, I
they're,
mean, they talk all the time. Yeah, they communicate like texting and, stuff
and do
like
they
that.
hang
Yeah.
out? Like, do they call each other brother and sister, or like, is it,
Yeah, they do. This is my sister, this is my brother. Yeah, they do. He's like 5 hours from us in California, so we don't see him as often as we'd like to.
Mhm.
But he's still involved. Like I said, we've done family vacations together, with all the kids. So yeah, I mean, they're definitely part of each other's lives, in a positive way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he ever like for me, like, when I like, if I could go back to when my dad was alive, I would wanna sit down and, like, hash it out. I'd wanna be like, "Okay, but why did you think I didn't need you? Did you guys ever have a moment where you had to, like, hash it out and then be like, "Okay, now we can hug it out and move on?" Or has it just kinda been like was he like, "I get it, I understand."
No, he told from the get go. I get it. I understand, and I think it's because of what his parents told him when he was raised.
Right.
This is your mom, biological mom, and she had to make the decision. So I don't think. I mean, I could be mistaken, but I don't think he ever questioned it.
Mhm.
I'm sure, as a rebellious teenager or something, he's probably like, "Oh, I could have had a different life with her," or something. But I don't think he actually ever questioned the whole process, and he never asked me about it. I think he just knew. I think the only negative side on this was that he never got to meet his dad
Right.
because he had already passed away. Yeah,
I think it's good almost that you met it because I feel like at age 25, you're a little more experienced and cultured and you have a little more perspective on life. Like, if you would have met him as a 15-year-old, he might have been in that
right,
like bratty, I know everything, what the fuck, where
totally,
who know, you might not know what phases or what he went through to process it all. But I think by the time you're 25, you can kind of look at life and be like, okay, I totally get, everything. So I
yeah.
feel like I mean, the timeline of it all probably worked out for the best.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is a good age. I feel like that's kind of when you start identifying where you're going in life, who you are, and what direction and so forth. Yeah,
Yeah, you get through your, like, you know everything in the world or your
totally.
rebellious phase or your, like, whatever phases we all have to go through. Um, but yeah, I think this whole episode is really, good to bring, like we said in the beginning, to bring light to what is never talked about, which adoption just isn't when you talk about adoption, like, you think of, like, an orphanage, or you think of, like, people, adopting a baby from overseas, or you don't think of like, I don't think of, like, my adoption situation where it's, like, adopted by a step parent, or you don't
Right,
think about, like, in America, like, a 16 and pregnant who was a good kid, who wasn't on drugs, who wasn't, you know, just like real life shit happens. We don't talk about that. And then when we do talk about it, we don't talk about the mom.
right. Yes, I agree. And I never really thought about it like that until um, I was with someone. They have an adoption foster agency that she's been running for I think 25 years, and she's like, we just don't have anyone to on your side. And I never really thought about that because there isn't necessarily a support system for my side, the person putting the child up for adoption. There's only support for the other people. And I just never really thought about that, but it's still true to this day. There's just really not that system out there. Um and I talk to people when I can. Like she like, can I send them to you to have a conversation with you? I'm like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Um yeah, so it's just good to have someone to support you on the other side.
Yeah. Cause, and really, when you think about it, in the moment of it all happening, the child doesn't really know what's happening in the moment. The parents that are getting the child are probably actually like overwhelmed with excitement and joy, and they've gotten this
Right.
beautiful gift and it's what they've been wanting. It's the mom who's given it up that's struggling and that doesn't have the support. So you'd
Yeah.
almost think it would be like that person would get the support, and then maybe like later on, down the line is when the child or the parents would get, because maybe the parents are struggling because the kid is being whatever and they didn't know what they signed up for, whatever. But you would
Right.
think in the beginning it would be like you would have been getting all the support, which is
Yeah. I mean, I had my mom, which was great, but I kind of felt like, okay, now on to the rest of your life, like kind of like cutting it up forward and just like, let's go. So that was kind of weird looking back on it. I didn't really, you're so emotionally immature at that age. Um, that I didn't really take it all in until later that I was like, oh my God, this is kind of crazy that I was able to do that. And then later in life when I had, two other children, I can't even fathom doing something like that now, So, I think I just had a really good support system at the time that I was able to get through that.
how old were you when you had your second child?
Um, I think I was 23 or 24.
And I mean, that had to also bring up all sorts of
Oh,
emotions.
it
I would
did.
assume. I mean, even just being pregnant and then going, it's like again, from being pregnant, finding the family, giving them the child away, then a year later signing the paper and then getting pregnant. It's like it's this endless. It's like it's almost like it never ends.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it definitely brought back a lot of emotions and things that I think I suppressed over the years, trying to forget. But I was married at the time, so obviously I had the support of my at that time husband. But yeah, that was very difficult.
Yeah, and but there you're 23. You're probably now you may be ready, and it all worked out.
It all worked out. I feel like it always works out in the end with things. Yeah.
It does, even though sometimes we're in the moment of it and it's like, what the fuck is happening? Or it feels
Yeah.
like there is no light at the end of the tunnel. Like you
Yes.
said, there is, for people listening out there, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And it's not always what you think it's going to look like.
Yep.
And
Agreed.
families are, blended families and people joining the families earlier or later, whatever, like it all, it's not, there's no handbook on how it's all supposed to work out.
Exactly. You just got to make the best of it. You only get
Yeah.
one life.
Yes. All right. Well, this was amazing. I think that again, for Mother's Day, I think we can look at all different types of moms and there's always different perspectives and there's always different, ways to look at things and different life scenarios. And I think that this was really eye-opening. I for sure have never thought about you in that way, like be the mom that has to give it up. So that is totally eye-opening. I think the story about the cabin needs to be a Lifetime movie. So if any producers are out there that want to make a movie, reach out to Jen for the script because that's crazy shit. But thank you so much for coming on. It's been a week.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. I hope you all had a good Mother's Day. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you next Tuesday.
Hey, wait. I got something to say.
You're here again? All right, let's do it. Okay, everyone, get ready for the after show. Been there, done that with AJ. Okay, been there, done that with AJ. Welcome back.
What an episode.
Right?
No, obviously I love Jen. I know Jen. I know her from when you met her in the pool and how fun that's been. And we've had fun things that we've done together since, go to the dinner for the Vanderpump Dogs thing and how fun, right? No idea
No.
about any of this.
I know, wild story.
A wild story. And even before we get into it, I think I was at 14 minutes and I was like, okay, this is this could be done. I felt like there was a whole episode in 14 minutes. Had no idea that for the next, whatever it is, 30, 40 minutes more, I was going to be so invested in understanding. What a story.
Yeah.
And to your point about someone should reach out and make a movie, that's a movie.
Well, the being locked in the cabin part, that's like a whole.
It's all the things,
yeah.
All the parts. I want to talk about them because it's just wild, how much I just kept being wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
The thing one of the biggest things though that I take away from it that I loved that she said was how we can't choose our family.
Right.
And I'm so lucky. I love my parents. I feel so lucky. And but not everyone is able to say that. And what I love that she said was she was able to choose
her son's
family.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. When she talked about the work that she's doing and how there's all this work for people that are adopting, but not a lot of support for the person that's putting their child up for adoption. To me, if someone's building a brand or building a program around that, to me, that's probably one of the most unique, coolest insights that she shared, where it's you have the ability to choose something no one else gets the choice around.
Right.
I
Right.
thought that was huge.
And it's true though, but you never hear about the person because when there's stereotypes and you immediately have I think less sympathy for the person giving up the child because you're thinking oh, they're irresponsible or oh, they're this, we don't have that. But they're like she said, she was not on drugs.
Right.
She was, but we have all this sympathy for the kid because we're oh, they're going this or the people adopting and we're oh, they're, doing all this, but we don't think about the mom that's having to give up their child like that. You'd think they would have more support.
Well, a few things in that. Yes. I think that's like why two things. One, probably why when she was saying it's not really talked about and people you don't really even know it's an option is because like people look down on it so much, like just from a generalization standpoint, because a
Right.
lot of maybe a lot of stories people have heard are connected to people who are having to do that because of an unfortunate choice or situation. But like if you remove all that judgment, like it should be something that people realize is more of an option.
Right.
And I think again back to like the beautiful power inside of it and what you can do is something really significant that should be presented more. And then the other thing is maybe to the first point, like we place so much judgment upon the ability for someone to have this as an option as a society
Mm-hmm.
and then like look to the other people who are adopting as such saviors. We've just
Right.
created that narrative
Right.
that it's the wrong narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that when you really listen to Jen's story, like, oh, this was my second point. When you really listen to her story, you get a sense of how incredible the choices that she made and how much weight is inside of it, too. Like, she's a strong person. We already knew that about her.
Right.
But, like, even in her vulnerability in the episode, and you see, like, the pain that she still carries, she's such a strong person. You feel the strength.
And
I
she
love
had
that.
come to me and been like, "Look, I have,
I want to talk
I
about
want
it.
to talk about like I have a story," and
My point, though, the second thing I wanted to say was the way her mom was trying to protect her image,
mhm,
like in a 80s,
right,
like who even knew what image, like clearly there was image then, but like image now compared to the 80s is like so different because
right,
of social media and whatnot. But there is stigma. Again, back to what I was saying, like I think that we create around this, and her mom was trying to protect her from that, which is her mom sounds amazing.
right.
Like, but
Her mom tried protected her from a lot of things, I think.
it's like my friend who her parents put the fear of death into her about driving on the highway because they're worried about everyone else, like, in the way they drive, that, like, she couldn't even, like, drive on the highway herself just out of, like, this fear that she then had to learn how to get over. Like, I think we have to, like, find ways in life to find some more balance,
Mm,
because, um, what she did is pretty remarkable.
yeah,
And
selfless, like I said.
yeah, like, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, so, like, I just think her strength shines through and, like but still you can still feel the challenge, like, even though she did all these things and she's probably been able to create the story that helps her feel strong, but, like, there's still inside of that the
Well,
tension,
I'm sure there's layers of guilt and layers of
like
what
you were
if
saying.
and should I have done this and should I have done that? But I think it's really special that they, you know,
This other family
Ca
sounds
but the
amazing.
fact that they came together at 25, like, the fact that she's in his life now, that's what I was trying to say. I was like, I think everything does play out in the order it's supposed to, and, yeah, I'm sure there's moments where she's like, "I missed out on this or I missed out on that," but, it made him, I'm sure, who he is, and it obviously shaped her into who she is, and so I
Well,
think
and
that
she
it's
chose this other family, and clearly she chose well because the way that they
sent her
continued, yeah,
flowers
and
and
like
yeah,
even to this day, it sounds like there's still so much openness there. I
and a
love that.
healthy relationship.
But wow, freaking A, like the layers of this story,
No,
like
the Native
the
American
Native
blood,
American
which there was
part.
no. Then they did the 23andMe, and there is no Native American blood. But how crazy that there was a window where they had the choice to be like, actually, we're going to take the baby.
Well, I mean, even that's not that long ago. It's 37 years ago or whatever. But like how different of that time was with data where like it was just written on a paper. So it's like,
Then it's true.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
Um,
and like we had said, like maybe someone just. You know how you hear like, oh, I'm Irish and I'm
yeah,
Norwegian. So then someone's probably like, oh, I have Native American blood. So they just check the box and,
yeah,
like, because they heard that from their parents who heard it from their parents who someone said, you kind of look like you could be Native American. So then it gets, like it's just
yeah,
the game of telephone.
yeah,
And then it became that scary or serious that
yeah,
there came a point where they could be, actually, we're going to take the baby.
yeah,
Like
it's crazy.
nuts.
I loved though when she was talking about like I'll be ready when he's ready, and she acknowledged how like doesn't even know if she actually was ready when he was ready, but like she really wanted it to be on his terms.
And to
And
wait that long. Because I'm
yeah,
sure there's moments where she wanted to just be like, they were friends on Facebook.
yeah,
So I'm sure there was times where it was like,
let's do
let's just
this.
meet. Should we just
Yeah,
meet up? But
yeah,
then, she
the
really,
patience.
yeah.
I overall was just so impressed, and like I said earlier, obviously I listen to your episodes and like, especially when we're going to do these shows, I get the chance to hear them before. And like, this one really drew me in deeply. Like the
Uh,
storytelling was so good. And like the, just the story in itself. Like, I really hope that someone takes the story and does something with it because it's a wild story.
And
It's a
special.
wild story. Yeah, it's a special story.
We've had good Mother's Day episodes. Both of them have been pretty good.
Yeah.
Both have been a little on the heavier side, but like
hey,
a good heavy. But like a good heavy. It's like I don't think you leave them being like drained. I think it's like you leave
well,
them.
maybe that's what it's all about too, because like Hallmark makes it all about just the lightness, which is lovely, like and the
Right.
happiness around it. But like I saw my friend Susan, who's the therapist, post today something around like it's the day after and now you're back to doing all that hard work, something like that.
Right.
And that's so true. Like, yesterday or whatever, Sunday, whenever it was, like celebrating, mothers and like just the lightness and the joy that comes with that is so wonderful to have that day. But then even it probably on those days, but the next day it's just back to reality. And
Back
it's
to the
like,
grind.
yeah,
Yeah.
moms carry a lot of weight. Like they make things lighter for us. And so I'm not surprised that the stories that you bring to the Mother's Day episodes have that heaviness to them because like a mom's life is just full of carrying
Heavy
everything
moments. Yeah.
around her to make it better. And like moms are fucking great.
We love our moms.
We do love our moms. So
all right. Well, that wraps up another episode of Been There, Done That with AJ.
yeah.
All right, everyone. I will see you next Tuesday.